Alright, welcome back to another tutorial, and I want to talk about arrays. So there's a lot that we can talk about with arrays, but first let's just look at the fundamental idea that an array is an ordered set of data of like types. So for example, we'd have an array of strings, an array of integers, an array of doubles, and it might be something like email addresses or bank account numbers or phone numbers. And so you can have one variable that has containers that will hold a spot based on an index for each value. So let's show you what that looks like. I'm going to create a new class inside our basics package. So new class, and I'm going to call this cities. Okay. Now I'm also going to hit this main function, this main checkbox, right? So Eclipse can now generate that ugly main function declaration that we've had to write so far. So now we don't need to write that anymore. Okay. So first let's declare. Say declare and define an array. So we can do that by saying it's going to be an array of strings, square brackets notes it's an array, and our name is going to be cities. Okay, and we're going to say it equals inside curly braces. Now we're going to put values inside for what these strings are, what these cities will be. So for example, we can have New York, we can have San Francisco, we can have Miami, we can have Dallas, etc. Okay. So there's our declaration of cities, right? So this one variable will have a container that holds New York, San Francisco, Miami, and Dallas. Okay. Now to access those variables, or those values, we use an index, right? So this square brackets, we're going to put a value inside there. So we're going to say cities at 0. Right, so we'll do sysout. Oops. We'll print the value of cities at 0. Now arrays start at 0. So this is item 0, this is item 1, this is item 2, this is item 3. So there's 4 elements inside our array, but the index will go from 0 to 3. So if I run this here, there we go, New York, and then we can just basically copy this down here. Oops. There we go. San Francisco, and there we go. Okay, so that's how we set up an array. This is one way to declare and define the array all in one all in one line. We can declare the array. Alright, so when we declare the array, we actually need to give it the size right away. So here we did it implicitly. Because we defined each element, we actually implicitly define the size. So we could do something like string, we can do states equals new string, and then inside our square braces here, square brackets, we need to put in the size. We'll say our size is 5. Okay, so here we're implicitly defining the size. Here we're explicitly defining the size. And then now we can define each element. States at 0 equals, we'll say, California. States at 1 equals, we'll say, Ohio. States at 2 equals New Jersey, and states at 3 equals Texas. States at 4, you get the idea. We'll say this equals Utah. Okay, so we have 5 elements, right, from 0 to 4, and we fill up basically each value inside each container inside this array that we declared, and then basically we can then print values just like we did before. We can say sysout states at 0. Okay, so that's all I'm going to show you right now. There we go. There's a lot more about arrays we can show you with later, but I first want to at least get us familiar with declaring an array, seeing the size of the array, and I guess one last thing is we can also say, we'll say, for example, string countries. right? And just like we declared and define array, only the size, only the size. Here we're going to declare array, and now we will define the array. So now we'll say countries equals new string, we'll say 2. So there's 3 elements. And we'll say countries at 0 equals USA, countries at 1 equals Canada, countries at 2 equals UK. So you get the idea, right? So I'm gonna let's just print one of these out here. Sys out countries at 2. So there we go. So we got a array index out of bounds. So I was trying to access the second element. Let's see here. So 0, 1, 2 should not have been a problem. If we try and print 1, because we set it size 2, which means we only have elements 0, 1, and 2. So if we change this to 3, now this should work fine. There we go. So the size shows us how many elements, and then basically the index is 1 minus that size. Okay, so that's again an introduction to arrays. I want to show you the different ways to define an array and pass values into that array. Later on, we'll iterate through arrays with loops, and we'll do some other cool things with arrays as well. Okay, so that's it for arrays for today.